Good afternoon and welcome to the December 4th Planning Commission meeting. And we have one item. We'll open up with a public hearing first. If I hear a motion that we go into public hearing. We have one item on that, please.
Make a motion. Go into the public hearing.
Okay. I'll second it. Will you call the roll, Jared?
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Gears?
Yes.
John Brown?
Yes.
Chris Brown? And Chris is not called in to see if he has not stated that he wasn't going to be here, so
Okay.
he may be on his way.
All right. Underneath the public hearing, we have no old business. The one item of new business, we have John Wallace representing Blue Water Real Estate Holdings Incorporated, owner of 2037 and 2041 Cortland Avenue, located within a residential 3 with a plan unit development overlay zoning district. R3-PUD is proposing zoning changes from R3 and R3-PUD to GBD-PUD, general business with the plan unit development overlay zoning district for the property addresses of 2037, 2041, 2045, 2049 Cortland Avenues, and 2038, 2042, 2046 Weir Avenue, Norwood, Ohio 45212. And what we do in our public hearings, we ask the representative or whoever is proposing the change or request to come forward to explain to us what they're proposing, the what's, the where's, and the how's. And then from there, we have anyone in the audience who would like to come up and speak in favor of the change. And then we'll ask anyone who's against the change to come forward. At that point, if any of the commission has questions, we will ask the questions. And from there, then we will adjourn our public hearing and go into our regular meeting. So with that being said, if there's anyone here as representatives, we need you to come up, state your name and addresses and who you're representing.
Should we sit?
You can if you like.
Just wasn't sure. Good afternoon. My name's Erin Henderson. I'm representing Blue Water Real Estate Holdings. I work for the owner of the company. I live at 3611 Southwest 63rd Lane, Gainesville, Florida, 32608.
I'm John Wallace, I'm the architect for the project. I live at 2707 South Clarksville Road, Clarksville, Ohio.
Okay.
So first, I would like to say thank you very much for allowing us to be here today. I also want to thank your staff very much. They have been incredibly helpful and wonderful at walking us through this process. I understand that there were a few challenges associated with what we're trying to accomplish today because of some timing of some press releases that went out and some misunderstandings when the building was first purchased. But moving forward, the purpose of our request for rezoning is really to create a revitalization opportunity in the central core of Norwood. The gentleman who purchased the building, his name is Joseph Hernandez. He's the chairman and CEO of Blue Water Real Estate Holdings. He also happens to be the CEO and chairman of Blue Water Vaccines. Blue Water Vaccines is a biotechnology startup focused on developing a universal influenza vaccine. As of right now, we're expecting for that vaccine to actually be commercialized in 2022. So it'll be the first time we have a universal flu vaccine that can go global. As part of the process, he was in conversations with an organization in town in Cincinnati called CincyTech. CincyTech is the preeminent venture capital fund for the entire region. CincyTech decided to fund Blue Water Vaccines at a $7 million capital investment initially, which is going to help us fund for the research and development of the vaccine. As part of that requirement, part of the requirements for the funding is that we needed to be located in the Cincinnati region and in the state of Ohio. Well, when Joe was here looking around, he found the Norwood Baptist Church available and for sale, and he fell in love with the building. And his idea was initially to convert that into an incubator space where we could bring in biotechnology startup companies. These are people who are 1, 2, and 3-person companies, office only, because most of their research and development is done through contract manufacturing outside, whether it's partnerships with the NIH, it's partnerships with the University of Cincinnati, or it's partnerships with other organizations globally. Blue Water Vaccines, as an example, is partnered with the University of Oxford, and some of our research and development is being done over in England. And so when he saw the building, he happened to love the architecture, love the history of the building, and decided that that would be an excellent location for a business incubator. It's a great way to repurpose the existing building and maintain its architecture, while also bringing the building into the tax base for the city of Norwood, as well as providing high-income jobs, which allows for additional income tax for the city of Norwood. Our idea is to create an opportunity for the entire region of that section of Norwood, for Norwood to become a hub of biotechnology in the state of Ohio, as well as in the entire Midwest region. I happen to be from a community in Florida, and there's a really small town just north of us that has become a national biotechnology center. People all over the place talk about it, and it's a really small town outside of Gainesville, Florida. Gainesville's not very big either, so you can imagine. When I hear the name of a town in my hometown being talked about at national biotechnology meetings all around the world. And that's exactly what we have the ability to do here in Norwood at this facility with Blue Water Vaccines, as well as some additional companies. We're partnered with Cincy Tech. They have a number of different companies that they have invested in, and those companies also have to be located in the Cincinnati region, and they're very interested in locating in Norwood at our facility if we're able to move forward with this. As I mentioned, it will be office-only space on the education side of the building. And on the sanctuary side, we actually want to go through and refurbish the entire sanctuary to bring it back to its beautiful existence of what it used to be. We've already started working with local contractors to get quotes for fixing the roof and doing exterior work on it, just so that if we do have the opportunity to move forward with this, then we can go ahead and pull the trigger very quickly. Cincy Tech has over $1 billion of business in their portfolio, and all of those companies are headquartered here in Cincinnati, and we'd like to bring them to Norwood, especially the ones that are coming out now. In addition to that, on the community side, on the sanctuary side, we'd also like to partner with a community theater to be able to bring in some outstanding theatrical performances to bring here to Norwood in the neighborhood. We also want to open it up for the community to be able to utilize. On the basement floor, there used to be a basketball court. I don't know how many of you have actually been in the facility, but there was an indoor basketball court there. And the idea for that space is to actually convert it into an art gallery where we can actually bring in local artists and do art gallery openings and have a beautiful art space for people to be able to come in and see art from local artists as well as national artists. We really do believe that this could be a great opportunity for Norwood, and our big focus is really to be a partner with the city to bring in more capital investment into the area, to increase jobs, to increase your tax base, and also to create a great hub of biotechnology research and development and outstanding headquarters for you all and to put you on the map nationally.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, do we get any questions now or should we wait?
You can, the commission can ask that.
Okay. The one thing I want to know is you represent Blue Water
Yes, sir.
and you're with Blue Water?
Yes, sir.
And the owner is, why isn't he here?
The owner is actually in England. He was scheduled to be over there to work with the scientists over at Oxford this week at a presentation.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I understand this. You want to change the zoning,
Yes, sir.
right, to business. Now, I don't know whether this is proper or not. Let me ask you this. So I understand the sale of the building was $275,000 you purchased it?
Sir, I don't have that information about that.
Well, that's what it was.
Okay.
Okay, so is the building now being marketed
Is it being marketed?
Yes.
For sale or for lease?
for sale?
I am not aware of it being marketed
is.
for sale. Okay.
It is. So if it's being marketed for almost $600,000, the way I understand it,
Yes, sir.
$600,000. So it would, and I believe in the ad it stated that it's zoned business and but it's not zoned business.
Right.
Here's my concern. First of all, I heard it was a flu vaccine that was going to serve all the flus.
Yes,
It
sir.
would cure all the flus. I can't believe that all the flus would come to Norwood, but if you say that, if we're going to cure all the flus, I think that would be great, and you should be leading, on CNBC, your process. So we went from a cure-all flu vaccine to a business incubator to an art gallery, all in one. And here's what's got me concerned. We'll say that the zoning was approved. Then the value of the property has now went up from 275 or whatever it was. We'll say, for example, 275. Now it goes up to close 600. I have more belief that that could happen rather than we would have a magic solution to the flu and nobody else. I am highly suspect of this process. And what you're asking us to do is change the zoning for people's homes.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to change people's zoning for their homes that they've lived in for 30, 40 years on an if-come with no facts, nothing to base it on, just on your statement coming up from Gainesville, Florida. Am I making myself? I don't want to seem too cynical, but it sounds like that's the direction I'm going to go in. And so right now, I can't see any way possible for me personally to support changing somebody's home that they've had for 30 years on a zone change.
Yes, sir.
And then something go wrong, somebody flips that building and makes themselves $200,000 or $300,000 profit, drives up the value of that parcel of property, and these people are now stuck with a zone change next door to them. That's my problem. I've heard vaccines, business incubators, art shows. We got this on our desk today. I've never seen that before. It was not part of the packet. And so I've listened to you and I've checked on it and I've listened to it. I'll be honest with you, there is no way I can support this. I'm a pro-business person, and if we're going to change the zoning on people's homes, then I suggest that people fork out a lot of money to buy those homes, because there's not enough here for me. When I first heard they was going to have an event there was no occupancy permit. And it would seem to me that due diligence should have occurred long before closing on that property to understand that it was not zoned for business. So I would have liked to have seen somebody here that owns the company. And when I hear, I've been around a long time, watched the news a lot, and when I hear somebody tell me that they've got what I understand was a mathematical formula for a vaccine that cures all flus, where I come from, there's a word for that. I'm sorry. I don't apologize, but I'm sorry, but I don't believe it. And why Norwood would be blessed to be the groundbreaking center of a universal flu vaccine, I'm sorry, I can't buy it.
Why not Norwood?
I don't believe it's possible.
For universal flu vaccine?
Yeah.
There's about 10 in development right now globally. This
Okay.
is just one. And we actually just got data back, which is kind of amazing, from our initial preclinical trials that we're doing here in the United States. And we are actually presenting all of that. We have our chief scientific officer presenting in California right now at the World Vaccine Conference out in San Francisco. And we already have 5 pharmaceutical companies that are looking to partner with us specifically to be able to purchase it at the point that it becomes viable. We will know in 2 years, and that is the one thing that I can tell you, the honest to God truth about that we'll know.
That all well, but I don't know it, and
Right.
I'm not a member of the scientific community. I'm a member of the Norwood community.
Yes, sir.
And so I just have some difficulties, with the situation. And
Well-
for me to vote to change people's zoning for their homes on an if come in 2 years,
Yes, sir.
I have a hard time with that.
We actually would have preferred to do spot zoning if we'd been allowed to do that, but your ordinances do not allow that. Therefore, the PUD was the only option that we had in order to change
Yes,
the
I
zoning of
understand.
the specific, of the church itself.
Thanks for your patience.
Thank you for your questions.
I just have a question as to why you would put the building back on the market after purchasing it before coming to us.
Yes, sir, I understand that question. My understanding is that the real estate company that was actually representing it kept it on the market. And it was
Someone had
supposed to
sign
be
the con-
taken
Someone from
down.
your company had to sign the contract.
That was it must have been before I actually came on board. I didn't come on board with the company specifically for this project until about October 1st. So I was just brought on
So
specifically.
you
to come on.
don't even know if it's on the market or not, which
It's
we
actually
did.
not supposed to be. The real estate agent was actually told, I know, to remove it. I didn't think that it was on the market any longer.
Okay.
I mean, I'm being very honest. I don't go out and look to see whether or not it's still listed on the market. But I know that the owner of the company has no intention of selling it. There have been a number of people.
Someone had to sign a contract.
Yes, sir, I understand that.
So the owner of the company who's too busy to be here, Nat Commissar has it listed for $600 and some thousand, and it says zone business. Now, and it's not zone business, so was the owner of the company, the authorizing agent, authorized that real estate agent to list it as business, which actually doubles the price of the property. And that's where we have a problem.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't think the ducks are in a row here, and I just can't do it. I just want to make that clear.
I understand that.
Thanks.
Mr. Stoker, how far are they between connecting the general business district there along Montgomery Road to this property? My understanding was that the back parking lot may be adjacent to the general business district. I'm not as familiar with the zoning map in that area as you might be.
I think it's several parcels away, Chris.
It's 2 on each side.
2 on each side?
Right.
Okay. And of the parcels that they are trying to incorporate into the general business district, that would allow them to sort of link the 2?
Yes.
And is that the minimum amount of parcels that they need, or are they signed a bid off more than they can chew, in a
Well,
sense?
they bid off more than they're the chew. That's why they have to include the residential parcels that they don't own in order to connect this.
Are there any residential parcels that they do own that connect, or are we?
No, sir.
No.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Those 2 are included, connected to the existing district.
Okay. And the general business district does permit single-family zoning, or
No,
it does not?
it does not.
Okay, so those
I
would
think it's
be
3. As I was looking up, I figured
Yeah.
you'd ask that question, Chris. It's 3 and up.
3 and up.
Yes, sir.
So I think that, and the person
Kind of
who,
non-conforming use, those existing single.
okay,
And we were given wrong information. We were told specifically that single-family use was allowed in the general business district.
It is not. It's 3 and 4 family dwellings, 5 and more family dwellings, and a mixed-use residential. Those are permitted
Yeah.
uses.
and I apologize for any misinformation that you might have received, but the person that can really answer the question, he is not here at the moment, correct?
Answer which question?
Andrew, which
The
question?
questions about the listing of the real estate and more information about the company, I mean, I think what the board wants is somebody that can really answer the questions so that we can make a complete informed decision, and he's
Either one of
not.
us can answer that because we were unaware that it was listed.
Okay. How soon, or would the person be able to come back and answer those questions?
We would be able to bring him back at your next meeting.
Okay, do you want to hold off on your application to the next meeting?
Yes, please.
I would just note that the next meeting is January 1st, and
Right,
it's a holiday, so
holiday.
I don't think we won't have it the first.
Right, it won't be on the first, but it'll
First
be,
Wednesday in January.
yeah.
It will be the first Wednesday of January?
No,
that's-
not, that's January 1st.
So it'll be
That's a New
February?
Year's
Will it be
Day.
will it be the first Wednesday of February
It's
then?
always the first Wednesday of every month, if there's something for the agenda. That's,
Maybe the good news is that it can happen. The bad news is, the good news is for you, I won't be here. Because I will walk away saying the same thing. That's good news for them because I won't be here. I have a hard time zoning somebody's house away.
I understand that. And actually, right now, it's been done in the past, and for some on an if-come with all kinds of promises, for now, and if I was going to be here January 1st, it would not change. I cannot accept rezoning somebody's house. I just can't, with the circumstances of the business already up for sale again. So I appreciate your patience with me.
And I think it's important to note that these concerns will still exist in January. You'll just be given additional time to sort of address those, whether it be working with getting a full understanding of the nature of the project and the listing, and also working with your neighbors so that it's a more comprehensive and complete project. Just use this time to sort of strengthen your proposal so that we have a complete application that alleviates some of the fears that have been rightly raised here, especially with the non-conforming and the potential of affecting people who are they own their homes and they probably have lived there for quite some time, and they don't want to be negatively affected by the project.
yes, and I do apologize. We were actually told that that's why when you brought up the non-conforming with the two homes, that was not something that we were even aware could be a possibility. Because we were told that single family was included in that particular district.
Well,
And I apologize about that. I mean, we
due
were both there when
diligence
we were told that.
is the answer to most of it. Due diligence is the answer to most of it. It seems to me that there's been a pattern here of just moving ahead. I mean, that property was purchased. See, and the bad thing about it is this is the second time we've had issues with
Yes, sir, I know.
selling that property with the last guy who, anyway. So
No, and I understand that
that's due diligence on the owner's part to get his ducks in a row before he closed. And so most do. They check the zoning, real estate agent. I'm sure a real estate agent will tell you that that's what they do when they sell a piece of property or list a piece of property. They inform the person that they sign a contract with of the whether there's money owed on the property, the zoning, if it's a business, all that. They properly inform the purchaser of the property or whoever's listing it. So.
Well, I do appreciate your questions and your feedback, and thank you very much.
No problem.
We'll make sure that Joe's here at the next meeting. First week of February, is that what we need to have on our calendar? Would that be correct?
I'm just saying it's basically up to the commission.
Right, I don't know. I don't think there's been a January meeting scheduled yet.
No.
It's because of the holiday.
The question is if we want to continue the public hearing until next year, or take action today, move forward with it. I'm just throwing out what options we do have.
Yes, sir.
I think
And if we would deny it, they have the opportunity in January to go to
I
council.
wanted to-
Because council can override
Right, the recommendation would go
Right.
to
our recommendation.
Can I?
We would ask that you table it till February.
That's where I'm going to disagree. I think it's here now, and I think we've got an obligation to deal with it. And that the appeal process is there. Am I right, Counselor, that you can
we
make a
would
decision
make
as
a
long as there's appeal process?
Well, you make a recommendation. The planning commission would make a recommendation, and then council would have the opportunity to vote on the ordinance to approve the zoning change. I think that the the key aspects is, do you have enough information to make an informed decision? And it sounds like what they've indicated is that they don't have all the people, and unfortunately, the applicant was not as prepared as they should to present a case to the board. And I think that that is something that they will have to decide how they wish to proceed.
And with all due respect, I would like to vote to make a recommendation. I don't want to, it came to us, and I don't want to shuffle anything off. It's, that's been our move since the election was held. Well, I'm not going to put anything off. Anything that's in front of us that I can deal with after consulting with the mayor-elect, I'll deal with. But right now, I feel obligated that it's our responsibility, and I don't want to put it off. And if the new council wants to override, if we would vote to not, if the council would, if our decision is not to grant the zone change, then that would be up to council to change that.
Correct.
And if we vote, but I think, in my humble request, is we vote one way or the other, with all due respect.
Understood.
I would say we move on with the public hearing, the fact that we have a lot of residents here. And I think it'll be good for you to hear their sides for or against it.
Of course.
And because we don't, what we do is we close the public hearing and then we would go into our normal meeting. And that's when we would get into the discussion if we're going to vote for it, recommend it, or whatever. But I think for the record, since the residents have taken their time to come here, we owe it to them, and also that you can hear it all firsthand.
Absolutely.
Okay? Any other questions?
No.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I hope everyone in the audience has heard what the proposal is. What I would do, moving along in the public hearing, anyone who would like to speak in favor of the proposed change, please come forward, give your name and address, and tell us if you're for it, and we'll listen. So, anyone here would like to speak in favor of the zone change, please come forward. And I usually ask 3 times, but so everybody hears me and understands. I think it's pretty obvious why everyone's here, but anyone that would like to speak in favor of the zone change, please come forward. All right, since no one has stepped forward, anyone who would like to speak against the zone change, well, as I say, you can do it orderly. All you've got to do is come up, give us your name and address, and tell us why you're against it, and that way everyone can hear. And, we'll take notes. Right here? Yes, please.
Before we go on, can we put in the minutes that Commissioner Brown is
Did
present?
show up.
I did. I got it in there. Thanks.
All right.
My name is James Balistreri, 2022 Cortland Avenue, Norwood, Ohio 45212.
Is it Balistreri?
Balistreri,
Thank you.
B-A-L-I-S-T.
Thank you.
R-E-R-I. My wife, Sue, is at work. I'm speaking ahead of the residents that would, my neighbors who would be directly affected by this. I have a plane to catch, so my apologies to them, and thank you. When she first mentioned the flu vaccine, I thought, oh, that's really a nice thing. Oh, cool, But it just sounds to me like there's too many things that can go wrong, even if that is the case, and I'm certainly willing to give her the benefit of the doubt. It sounds to me like there are too many variables that could affect the outcome of bringing this flu vaccine to market. What if they decide to go somewhere else? They like another city or another town or something like that they see a lot of potential for. So to me, it just sounds like there's too many variables, and the fact that when they first came here with the project, there wasn't any clear goals in mind or anything like that. And I appreciate Mr. Williams, Mayor Williams. You were really on it, and I appreciate that very much. So it just sounds to me like there's too many variables that could negatively affect me and my neighbors on the street. So I'm all for development, but this, unless there's a certain plan, a guarantee, contracts, whatever, that they're not going to just turn around and flip this property. I live right across the street from Allison School, so it would definitely have a negative effect on our house that we've been in for 20 years. Been in Norwood since 1994. So with that, I will yield. I genuinely appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yeah, come on up. That's fine.
I'm listening to this over GM.
How you doing?
My name is Cleon Montgomery. I live at 2045 Cortlandt Avenue. My family and I have lived there approximately 35 years, it may be longer. The plant's been closed over 30 years, so I know I was still working there when I was there. I didn't really hear much about this, and I've met the gentleman that I guess has bought the property. I've talked to this young lady and a friend, and they're very nice. And a lot of the ideas I hear, that really sounds great. I want business in Norwood. I want to see Norwood boom, and but not at the cost of the residents. And the way I've looked at things, you know, because there's only two houses that's going to be changed. That's my house, who's right next to the school. My neighbor's house, who was right next to me. And I have worked diligently, I think if anybody drives up through there, they'll see what I've done to that house. And it's a beautiful home. And I know just in the last couple of years, I've probably put $30,000 on it. Roof, furnace, air conditioning, painting, you know, just to keep it up. And I get more compliments on my yard, and I do all that. But besides that, you know, we've been very happy there. We have been very, very happy there. In fact, I've been in Norwood for almost as long as the mayor. Close.
Thanks.
And my brother, he has. So, you know, all of our friends, everybody, we've grown up in this city, and we love Norwood. That's just as simple as it is. And I went down through this just kind of looking at things, how it would affect us. And I was looking at the addresses, and like I said, all the property belongs to the company, except for two. Okay, and that puts us in a heck of a spot because, you know, first of all, you know, I guess this be my first question, is why wouldn't the Blue Water Real Estate Holdings, you would think, would have checked out the zoning prior to buying it? I know, at least I would. I mean, that's me. That's not, you know, I guess that goes quite a ways back because the gentleman's been out there, I guess the last 2 years. I've run into him a number of times. Seems like a nice fella. Seems like a very nice fella. But I've heard so many different stories on what's going to happen in that building that I don't know, you know, and I'm completely confused. I've been in it. I was invited in it. I looked around. There's a lot of work to be done. It's been just like the young lady said, especially in the ceiling in the church. Right now on our street on Cortlandt, and I'm pretty sure everybody here has been down Cortlandt, at the upper end of Cortlandt and Montgomery, you've got the smoke shop. Okay, across the street you've got the furniture store and the office building and all that. And if that's not the most dangerous intersection to get out of, it's going to be ranked right up here at the top. Okay, but and from there you go down, you've got the other church. It's the Spanish church right there in their house. Okay, they don't have any off-street parking. All their parking is on the street. They can't help it. That's just the way it is. Then if you go down, you got my neighbor's house, my house, and then the school and the church. And that school and church has been great to us since they've been there. Well, I'm going back quite a few years with the kids and everything. They wouldn't even get in your yard, so they were just good neighbors. And then if you go down from there, you got Allison. So really, right now, on that side of the street, got two houses. And there's nobody going to convince me that two houses is going to keep that business. If it stays the same, I really believe it'll be sold. I don't know that. I'm just speculating. I've got to think of everything. The church behind the parking lot, that's on Ware. Nobody's mentioned that. That's up for sale. And that's advertised as a commercial. It's not commercial. That's up for $250,000, and I always thought the two houses right behind the church, and I think they could answer this better than me because I don't know. If you see how they look, if you're looking at the church on the right side behind the church, my understanding was the church owned those houses. Now, whether they still do, or if they bought it when they bought the building, I don't know. But that's always been, I know one of them's vacant. And I've always been told that. So if that does that, and that's just on my side of the street.
Right.
And all the neighbors and that, and we got good neighbors. We got, there's very few of us left, but we got good neighbors. On the other side, you had the office building. You also had the parking lot there, which we worked on, and that worked out good. But then next door, you got the group home. And then you got the Newton's house, and then right on down. So we may have, 10 houses on the street? I'm not even sure. I've not counted them. And because I remember when I lived there, they had 3 houses across the street. One gentleman, he used to grow roses, and he'd bring my wife grapes over and all that. He used to tell me that was his girlfriend. He was 70-something years old or whatever. And he passed away, parked up there. He was 80 years old. And so it's but even if you go up there, I'll pick one of the worst nights of the Wednesday when you have church and everything. If you can drive 2 cars down that street at the same time, I'll be shocked, because it just can't happen. And I know my wife will back out, and my brother, he'll come over, and I always tell him, when you back out, be careful. Because if you look down the street, if there's cars, there's vans, there's cars, I don't know what all, they had a couple big trucks. You cannot see. You can't see nothing coming up that street. And she come very close to getting hit one time. And then I think my neighbor did get hit once. I don't know if it's his fault or the other fault, but they were coming out of the office building, and it gets hectic. And then Ware is smaller than Courtney. So, I don't know what they intend to do there, because the parking's a lot there, and I know everybody's saying, well, they can park there, and that's great, they can. And but what happens when they leave? Or when they come in and all that? And will there be enough parking? I know I heard the church was going to be an event center. How does that work? What if the offices are working, you got an event center? Then you got Allison down there. I don't know what'll happen down there. And it's just too important to my family and to these people sitting back here, and the Newtons and them. They've lived down there, I think, longer than I have. And
Long time.
and they're and I couldn't get any better neighbors. And the gentleman that was here earlier, they take great shape of their yard. They all do. They all work hard on that. And I have a hard time keeping up with them, I think, but I hang in there. And but I just cannot see. I feel like I've got a choice, and I hate to do it because of them. Because sooner or later they will be affected. They say that building will stay there from now on. The vaccine and all that sounds great. I have a hard time for it sinking in this thick head of mine that that place would be set up for just vaccines and whatever. Because I've talked to them, I've been in there, and I've been told probably 4 or 5 different things it was going to be used for. First it was condos, and we all know what happened there, and that's a shame. Then it was just going to be offices. And then the church was a mess. The ceiling, I guess the roof. That's a beautiful church. And it is a mess. The young lady's right. It is a mess. It takes some big dollars to fix that. But where do they all park at? I mean, where do they park? I just don't understand that, and like I said, I try to stay on top of my property hard, and I feel like I do, and very proud of it. And I know everybody that's in this room are very proud of their property, but I don't think that's the way you do a resident. I've been in Norwood for must get over 60 years or whatever it's been. I graduated from Norwood High School, 65. I was drafted in 66. I spent a year in Vietnam. I come back to Norwood, you know, and I like Norwood. I mean, that's just the way we all are.
Yep.
And I don't want to leave Norwood, but if I'm put into a box, you know, what choice do I have?
I agree.
So, and I could go on. I got, you know, it becomes a, you know, and if the zone is changed, it becomes non-conforming. In other words, I'm sitting in a residential, or I mean in a commercial area with a residential house. What if I go to sell that?
Right.
I agree.
Or, you know, heaven forbid, something happened to it. I can't put it back like it was.
No.
So, like I said, I did a lot of my homework. And I'll
You
say
always
this,
do.
I'll say this, you've got enough code. I've got to where I know them pretty good now. And I've studied them hard, and I've really not even covered a third of what could affect my property. And,
Right.
you know, like I said, my grandkids grew up there, my kids grew up, you know, and I love it there. I love it there. I can walk to anywhere I want to go.
Yep.
And I can aggravate my brother who's only a few blocks away. And so, you know, it's just, it's the best I can say. I'm willing to listen to anybody, and I want Norwood to do great. And I'd love to see that whole block. I like to see it boom. I like to see it turn into something beautiful. Because Allison's sitting down there, and that's a shame, just sitting there.
I agree.
And then you take this building, which is a beautiful building, but and if you see Joe, I believe is his name, am I right? Tell him he can give me some help keeping it clean, because I clean between the school and my house, and they have hired some people, and hopefully they'll, you know, start doing that. But, that's about everything I can say. That I am 100% against it. I'm not.
Thank you.
I'm not against,
Right.
you know, business coming in, but I'd like it to be done the right way. And not just for me and my neighbor, for the people across the street too. A lot of people figure, well, that won't affect us because, you know, they're not being rezoned. Oh, yes, it will. It will eventually, you know. And what if that business don't stay there? What goes there? What happens? Right. So that's my speech for today. I wish I'd have done that good when I was arguing for the plans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Can I ask a question?
No,
No,
It's not
no,
hard.
no,
Not a, I mean, have you guys?
no.
I thought it was me. Okay, so-
no. All right, next person.
Thank you very much. Marilyn Hanrahan, 2257 Monroe Avenue, Norwood, Ohio. I'm also a council representative. I'm usually on that side. I want to thank the mayor for your frankness, and you've inspired me to speak today. I wasn't going to, but I found some information while you were speaking that I'd like to pass along. I'd like to say that I am really concerned that the people here who are representing this company are not aware that the property is currently being marketed, which is, I think, really important. It's also being marketed, as the mayor said, as a business and commercial district and as a commercial piece of property. The ad is extremely misleading. I'm going to be quick, and all I want to say is this has been on the market for 224 days. It was originally put on the market April 24th, 2019 for $550,000. On 10/17/19, they increased the asking price $100,000 and are now asking $650,000. What's very interesting is they increased it $100,000 on the exact same day they applied for this zoning change. And I think that's really questionable, especially when a company says to you, I don't know, or representatives are saying, I don't know it was being marketed. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Wait, one other thing. I think it would be really unfair to the residents to put this off, you know, and have them wait for another 2 months. But thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else would like to come forward and speak against it? Anyone else would like to come forward and speak against it, please come forward. All right, if not, any commissioners have any other questions, or do I hear a motion to adjourn the public hearing and move into our...
Motion to adjourn the public hearing.
I'll second.
All right. Would you take a roll call, please?
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Chairman Gears?
Yes.
Chris Brown?
Yes.
John Brown?
Yes.
All right, thank you. At this point, we'll, since the public hearing is closed, we will move into our regular meeting. And we have some items on there. First is approve the minutes from the June 26th and October 2nd, 2019 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to take a look at it? If there's no additions or
I'll move
corrections?
to approve the minutes.
As of read.
As of read.
All right.
Second.
I have a second on that. Any discussion? All right. Would you please call the roll, Jerry?
Chairman Gears?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Chris Brown?
Yes.
John Brown?
Yes.
Thank you, Jerry. With that, I would make a motion to, in our regular meeting underneath new business, to amend the agenda. We have, my understanding, a representative from the company that has purchased a U.S. playing card company. And also on that, we have a letter from Keith Moore, the law director, regarding U.S. playing card company demolition. And I would request to amend the agenda to have them come basically just to kind of inform us what their plans are. And I will say the council already has voted on it. So basically what they're doing is just coming to kind of bring us up to date of what's going on and what's been approved and what their plan is.
That's
Do I-
right.
There's a second on that? Would you take a vote on that, Jerry, please?
Chairman Gears?
Yes.
Mayor Williams?
Yes.
Chris Brown?
No.
John Brown?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. You want to come forward and give us your name and address?
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Nicholas Lingenfelter, 101 Lexington Drive, Loveland, Ohio. Thank you again for the time, and I apologize. I went ahead and did a full presentation as well if you would like to see that I had presented to council, but I'm just going to go ahead and give a project update for now. Again, my name is Nick Lingenfelter, and I am one of the now new owners of United States Playing Card Facility. We closed on the property on November 19th. Exactly 2 weeks and 1 day after we signed the contract, as we had indicated to City Council. Just wanted to give you an update on where the project is today. So right now we have ATC, a very well-known national environmental company, completing an asbestos survey on the property. The asbestos survey is to be completed by this Friday in a draft form, with a final copy to be delivered to us in the middle of next week. I'm letting you know that because that is actually required in order to get all the asbestos remediated from the site. So when we discussed to City Council prior, this project, when the remediation will begin, will be the largest asbestos remediation project in the state of Ohio going on. So we will have the EPA on site at least once a week while we'll be doing the remediation in that property. We are currently working to get all of our demolition and remediation bids in place. We have a final walkthrough tomorrow with 7 additional contractors to make sure that all those bids are fair. We've also hired outside consultants that have done this project and process before with large-scale remediation on a national basis. So we wanted to make sure this was cleaned up properly. We're in compliance with all of EPA notices and everything that we need to do. There's still some underground storage tanks, some electrical utility substations, and again, a lot of asbestos in the underground tunnels from the old steam pipes. So as of yesterday, all electric has been shut off to the site. There was 3 main substations servicing the site. We also have all public water shut off, and the only thing remaining active, and gas is shut off as well. Gas was never active once we acquired it. The only remaining water is currently the fire sprinkler systems. We have an active protocol every day that we have to call in the number of people on the site to the fire department. We tell them exactly where they're going to be on site every day. And we have any kickoff meetings with any new contractors at the facility as well. So the fire department did give us a video that everybody is to watch before they come. And then we also do a kickoff meeting with any new contractors. We have a life safety plan that will be put in place with any demolition contractors, and they'll all be expected to maintain that as well. I can tell you that a representative from our company is on site every single day. I have reshorn up every fence that I can. I've replaced every lock that I can. Anything that was broken, I used my Jeep and some chains to pull it out. We've done everything we can to try to secure the facility. We've been staying in constant communication with the city on anything that they need. We continue to plan to do that, as well as with the fire department, the police department, as they need and see fit. On the planning side, we've shortlisted some architects and civil engineers to help with the PD side, because we did commit to City Council in the spring to be bringing through draft plans and working with the community and community councils and anybody else necessary to do that. So we hope to have finalized 1 or 2 names by early January, and then that way we can start on the plans on our side and then begin the public engagement portion. So as we've talked about from the beginning, there will be a lot of public engagement that we anticipate. We know we need incentives. We know there's going to be a lot that goes into this, and then to add the residential use will, again, take a lot of public engagement. So if there's any other questions you have for me, I'd be glad to update you. But again, we do own the site. We've owned it for a little over 2 weeks now, I guess 2.5 weeks. And we are diligently working to get everything done. I believe we have about 42 to 43 days left to name our contractor, and about 72 days left to actually begin the remediation work, which we're targeting for roughly February 15th.
Just a real quick question, just so anyone watching or the commission knows, people who don't know, what's the ultimate plan? I mean, when demolition, what are you going to demo, and what's going to replace some of the stuff that you know of as of right now, so that people don't think it's just going to be an empty site?
It will not be an empty site, no. What it'll take us roughly 12 to 18 months to get all of our EPA clearances. And why we say that is, there's certain occupancy requirements, air thresholds. There's going to need to be vapor barriers put under the new buildings. There's going to be a lot of work there. We anticipate a full mixed-use site. Exactly what the breakdown of that is right now, I cannot tell you. What I can tell you is the original 4-story building, our intent is to make a parking garage because it is solid concrete on 4 stories. So we will make that a parking garage servicing the development. Our intent is to create jobs and put those on the highway outlots, whether that's office or some other type of use. We will be keeping the original factory that was built in the late 1890s and moved in 1903 to the rear of the site. That is architecturally probably the most significant structure on the property, and it's roughly 13,000 square feet. If they need an office, I'd be glad to lease them some space. So, but no, it is a fantastic location, and our goal is to be creating jobs on portions of the site and as well as residential. We are an apartment owner-operator. We own roughly 5,000 apartments in the city of Cincinnati and 7,200 apartments nationally. So our headquarters is in Sycamore Township. PLK as a corporation has looked at the site as well as a new potential headquarters location for ourselves. So that is a couple years out, but we do believe there's a significant play for jobs and job creation in that location. We have been working with Ready as well as Jobs Ohio on potential grants and cleanup as well. So again, our thought is we believe there's going to be an empty nester senior type component. We believe there's going to be a multifamily component with some retail of some sort, and then the highway outlots we've listed as retail office because we've had some event spaces, things like that, entertainment type venues also reach out as potential users because of the highway visibility.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'll let you guys go then.
Go ahead. I know
No.
you what? No, go ahead.
No.
I would just a quick comment. I know demolition's going to be a while off. Once it gets in the spring, can we keep the grass and the weeds and everything down?
Yes, sir.
That was a big concern.
That will all be removed and will be hydro-seeded as soon as we're complete.
Okay, thank you.
I think I've been dealing with that site for years. The owners that you purchased it from originally wanted Mercy Health there, and as we all know, that didn't work out. And over a period of years, there's been several developers that looked at that parcel of property. Some had all kinds of ideas with no money. Other people had some ideas that, that just didn't work. My preface over the years was to hold that property intact. That was my goal. We worked on that, and Mr. Brown and I worked on that, and he helped us fashion this anti-demolition ordinance. But what happened was, for some reason, we failed to make sure that that property was taken care of. There were people running in and out of there like there's no tomorrow. There were kids jumping from roof to roof. They were stripping that property of copper. There was an individual living in there. Nobody got arrested. The individual up in Cleveland who owned the property, we battled with him. The fire department was instrumental in staying on him because we was always afraid of a fire. And we had our mind made up that if it ever took off, we'd never get it out. And we decided at that time, if there was a fire, no firefighters would go in there. The property deteriorated so bad. Holes in roofs, water's coming through, sprinkler systems off, sprinkler systems in. The water and the lack of care destroyed that building, those buildings. That was a dream of mine to keep that building intact. And because for whatever reason we couldn't stop it, and for whatever reason we battled with that individual over years trying to get him to maintain it. Jerry, you're familiar with it. Mark, you're familiar with it. It was a constant battle for years. And it got to the point where the building was so decrepit that there was no choice. And right towards the end, if I'm saying something wrong, tell me. Right towards the end, this company tried to buy it, and the individuals in Cleveland, they would up the price, they would change the price, they went from $5 million down to everything. The upkeep of that building was so expensive that they didn't put any money into it. You know, it was $240,000 a year, if I'm right or wrong.
Just for heat bills.
Yeah, for heat bills, water and everything else. And they just held on to that price for history purposes now. I'm saying this. They held on to that price and kept paying the money. And they didn't have anything left to put into it. And finally, you guys came along and made the offer. There was nobody else that was interested in this. Nobody. And the building is such good shape that my thought was when this originally popped up is the history of this company has the financing. They're doing the financing, and they've got a good company. And when I hear, well, it's market rate housing, you know, I heard up to 300 apartments, and then parcel it out and then develop it as it goes on. I can tell you this, nobody has come forward, not one developer has come forward with not only funds, we've had some retreads that we've dealt with before that tried to buy it, and, well, I don't want to get into anyway. And so this is not, well, you just took that beautiful piece of property and now you're going to turn it around. I can assure you that if I could have done this, look at me, I'm 48 years old. I look like I'm 80. I mean, that property has ate me alive trying to, well, never mind. That property has ate me alive trying to do something with it. And I know people think this is not the best thing in the world. It is not only I think it's a good idea, but it's the only idea. Am I right or wrong?
I think what you said is 100% accurate, yes. And we are doing everything we can. We're saving the clock tower, which I understand it's important to you.
That's important to me.
And we're doing everything we can because that is a concrete structure around wood. So everyone is telling us that should be able to be saved. So we're doing that. We're keeping the smokestack in the original factory, which honestly is the most architecturally significant building there. Other than that, it was all function, not form. And that's the key thing to remember.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate all your, yeah, you're right.
I know the struggle that the mayor has had with that property and his devotion and actual concern. You were the sole reason why we are at this position and having something to save and having the ability to turn this into a wonderful project. And that's what I want to emphasize. I think now Sir, you have assumed a responsibility to the city to create a wonderful project. You now have both the honor and the burden of turning a historic landmark, and there are elements that are landmark worthy, into something that we can be proud of for future generations. And in order to do so, that will require us holding you to a higher standard than we may in other circumstances. Architecturally, site plan wise, landscaping, use. We have a architectural landmark that you are saving portions of, and I applaud you for doing so. And I hope that you will continue working with the city and sort of identifying what can be saved so that we can minimize the loss of our architectural heritage and replace it with something that we can be proud of. 300 units designed correctly, it could be an asset. Designed incorrectly, it could be a terrible burden and would lead to unnecessary regret and losing our historic landmark. Allowing the back portion to be developed for office was always the goal. We were able to superimpose Cornerstone, the office development there at Smith and Williams, onto that back portion with room to spare. So there's a sizable developable portion that if you're willing to work with the city can help you create a wonderful project that creates jobs, that brings jobs into the city, that brings new residents into the city, that brings vitality to the site. It's just that because of the importance of the site, we have to hold you accountable to a higher standard. And you have to be prepared to meet that standard. I applaud you for preserving the clock tower factory, that U-shaped factory with the clock tower. That's a wonderful preservation and could serve you well with either an office use or residential uses. I also applaud you for conserving the factory that's adjacent to it, the more recent 4-story one that you identified that's right there on the track.
Yeah, we're only saving the clock tower portion. The original factory is actually in the back of the property. So the original factory got moved in 1903 to the back of the property. It was actually
So actually there'll be just a clock tower sticking out
so
with
correct.
maybe
So
some...
Right now, our concept that we're working on is to take the boulevard and continue it all the way through. And by continuing the boulevard all the way through, the clock tower will actually be in the middle of the boulevard. And we're trying to find some way to create what they did up in Blue Ash, where that actually becomes something that people can go in and out of the clock tower.
Right. So that would be the last remnant of the factory besides the...
Original factory that was always the factory, the original U.S. Plane
Correct.
factory. Yeah.
And then there's the building next to it.
The
that-
4-story.
The 4-story that you are going to preserve. Now that 4-story has the same floor plan as Linden Point, so don't limit yourself to just a parking garage. I think that it calls for some imagination and vision. And the other remaining buildings that are to the south of that, those will all be destroyed, so the only thing we will have left to play in car will be the clock tower. Is that correct?
The 4-story factory in the front and the clock tower and the smokestack will be there from the power
The
plant.
smokestack, the 4-story factory,
And then they
the
got
clock.
the single story in the back. There's four structures that'll be remaining.
Okay, and everything else will be scraped down.
Correct. So
Okay.
there's some issues with like what we call the buildings 6 and 7A that had some indoor air quality problems with, I believe it was mercury and a couple other things that were in there that as much as we want to save them, it's almost going to be impossible to have an adaptive reuse on it that's not heavy manufacturing.
Okay. Well, again, you have vested yourself with a big project, so there's going to be a lot of give and take and dialogue with this.
Understand? Yes.
Okay.
And I would just say, I understand why you've got and I've looked in the front door windows after we had the one meeting, and the inside of what used to be the buildings on both sides of the clock tower have been destroyed. The ceilings are falling down, the roof's got holes in it, so I mean, it is in horrible shape.
We have water coming down 3 to 4 stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so, all right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Well, let me, we're good now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We've got a letter from, addressed to us from the law director. concerning the plane car demolition, and if you want me to read it, I can. It just says, "Dear Planning Commission members, over the past couple of weeks, PLK Committee LLC Communities has been working on finalizing the purchase of the U.S. plane car property. There were some issues that PLK wanted to resolve before closing the purchase deal, and they have had some meetings and discussion with the various city employees and officials over the last couple of weeks, including Mayor Williams, Service Safety Director Joe Gears. I was reminded that the ordinance that placed a PUD overlay on the site provides that either Planning Commission or Council can delay consideration of a PUD development plan for 180 days. Since PLK is not at the point of submitting a development plan, there is an argument that the 180-day provision does not apply at all if they want to demolish it. Mr. Gary and I, though, believe we should give effort to the spirit of the ordinance and get some indication from council and the planning commission before demolition is allowed. Consequently, I'm requesting that you add this matter to the agenda for your December 4th, 2019 meeting, and that you pass a motion at the meeting to allow demolition to move forward. On November 12th, Council unanimously passed a resolution approving the demolition plans. Mayor Williams and Mr. Gears have indicated their support for the demolition to proceed, as have Acting Fire Chief Tom McKay, Building Inspector Mark Reeds. I am asking for your approval because my office and PLK, excuse me 1 minute, robocalls, gotta love them. I'm asking for your approval because my office and PLK would be more comfortable with some formal record of asset from the Planning Commission. PLK plans to attend the December 4th Planning Commission meeting to present their plans. Sincerely, Keith D. Moore, Law Director. And this letter was written November 15th. And so just to add that I think we all know that it has been purchased and council has voted, and they are here to give their explanation of what they want to do. So with that, I'm open for any discussion or motion or...
I think we have a pretty good idea of what's going to be demolished, timelines and things like that. And I know the people from the other issue would like to probably get out of here, so I'm just going to request that the motion be granted to begin demolition.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah. Any discussion?
I don't believe that that is what the ordinance requires. I think that they have to submit their plan unit development plans, and then the Planning Commission will then consider whether or not to approve the plans, keeping in mind the need for demolition has to meet certain requirements. There's been no modification of the ordinance. While council did adopt a resolution, that was merely council voicing their opinion at the time. I believe we have to follow the law. Any demolition ordinance may or may not be properly applied for and granted. I would hate to tie them up legally if we don't comply with the ordinance. I do understand their concerns and their need for comfort. Again, the only comfort I can give is that I will follow the ordinance, I will follow our rules and regulations and the zoning code, and I will hope to work with them to create a wonderful project that the city can be proud of. I think going ahead as this commission and granting the demolition is not allowed by the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any other discussion?
I, with all due respect, Mr. Brown, we go way back. I will move that the commission approve the proceeding with the demolition.
Oh, it's already been.
I already made that motion.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just need a second.
Hey,
Just need a second.
cut me some slack.
Seconded it.
Oh, I
Mayor
did?
seconded
Cut me
it.
some slack.
All right. What we'll do is, if you don't mind, call the roll call, please.
Sure. Chairman Gears,
Yes.
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
John Brown,
Yes.
Chris Brown.
No.
All right, thank you. Last but not least, we have underneath new business, John Willis representing Blue Water Real Estate Holdings, Inc., owner of 2037 and 2041 Cortland Avenue, located within a residential 3 with the planned unit development overlay zoning district. R3-PUD is proposing zoning changes from R3 and R3 PUD to GBD-PUD general business with the planned unit development overlay zoning district for the property addresses of 2037, 2041, 2045, 2049 Cortland Avenue, and 2038, 2042, and 2046 Weir Avenue, Norwood, Ohio 45212.
I move that the zone change be denied.
A second.
All right, any discussion? I would just, a couple comments, just from everything I've heard from the presentation, which the concern I have is nothing's proposed for the next 2 years down the road, and that is if everything gets approved. My second concern is the realtor who is selling it this time is the same realtor who represented it and sold it the last time. So they should definitely, or that company should definitely know it is not zone business. And I think the one comment was made, well, the city doesn't allow spot zoning. And this is the reason, the perfect example of why that was taken or was changed in our zoning rules and regulation. So with that, that's just my comments from what I've heard. And along with that, we always get a response from the building department and their recommendation, and they had many yeses and so on and so forth. But their comment is, the staff, when reviewing all aspects of the submission and residential uses surrounding these properties, recommend that the Planning Commission vote to deny the zone change request. And last but not least, as I stated earlier, all we do is we just do a recommendation, and then council will have to set up, would be after the first year, set up, they'd public hearing on it, and they are the final votes, and they can ignore what we recommend, or they can grant it. So I think, in all fairness, that we should vote on this today, and then council, they'll have, in their wisdom, they'll be able to do what they want to at their public hearing when they do it. So that's my discussion. Any other discussion?
The only thing I could add is that it's unfortunate, I think, that the applicant was ill-prepared in terms of presenting. I think that the concept may or may not work. I'm leaning more towards it might be a great concept, but it needs some more effort and information and cooperation with the residents, both along Cortland and Ware, both the properties that are seeking to be rezoned as well as the neighbors, to sort of provide some understanding and comfort and some specificity as to what they're being proposed. I think that this building, being a historic building and preserving the historic building and bringing in jobs to the community, is a worthy goal that should be explored. And it just needs a little bit more information and some more cooperation with the neighbors. It's unfortunate that we didn't have an opportunity to sort of see if there was some other ways to accomplish this zone change that didn't include the residential properties that you don't own and that would be legal nonconformings after the zone change. But I think the concept is sound. I would note that as a PUD, it would come back before Planning Commission for any review in terms of use and design, and allow the Planning Commission and the neighbors an opportunity to work together to come up with the necessary safeguards of any concerns. I would hate to do a flat denial without the opportunity to get some more information.
All right, thank you, Mr. Brown. Any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor to deny.
And we have a second.
We have a second. Would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Joe Gears,
Yes.
John Brown,
Yes.
Chris Brown.
No.
Motion passes.
Thank you. We have no other communications or anything miscellaneous.
Yes, Mr. Chairman,
Oh.
Mayor, I'd like to thank you, Mayor, Mr. Chairman, for your service on the Planning Commission. These past years, we're able to accomplish a lot, both in terms of new zoning laws, new sign code, a lot of stuff that really is going to benefit the city and really continue this momentum that, as a Planning Commission, we were able to encourage and foster, whether it be Rookwood, Linden Point, Xavier. All of these projects were under your guidance and under your efforts. So I think the city has been very blessed with having you here, serving in your capacity, and I thank you for your service.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Mr.
that.
Brown. You're welcome.
Can I say, Chris, we go back, he was law director, a lot of this stuff started when you was law director, the zoning and all that. And it has been an honor to serve with you and John Brown and Joe Gears and Jerry Stoker and myself, and it's been an honor to serve this city and this planning commission in any other way. I don't want to get emotional. I will really miss it. Well, I will miss it a lot, some of it. I won't miss it all by no means, but we have done our best. We've given it our best thought and tried to temper our judgments based on fact and opinions and legal opinions. And once again, Mr. Brown, we go way back when you was on. We changed a lot of zoning on when you was in the law director's office and John Brown is a realtor, affectionately known as Sparky. It's been an honor serving with you and Joe. And once again, I thank you so much.
I would just say thanks a lot. Doesn't seem like it's been 16 years, but it has, and everyone's been an asset. So, thank you, and with that,
How do I top all those? Mayor, you and I have been together, police department, over 40 years. Joe, probably about the same amount of time, your time at Public Works and my time at the safety lane. Chris, it's been an honor to work with you. I don't know who's going to be back next year, who's going to be here. Jerry, you do an excellent job and your staff, and it's been an honor to work here. I don't know if I'll be here, but I hope I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
and I will just say, and I didn't mean to exclude Jerry and the building department, because we go back a few years, back in the Loveland days, and he was, we were lucky enough to get him to come here once he retired, twisted his arm, but to help us out and guide us, because I don't think we've had any lawsuits, if I'm not mistaken, as far as with zoning and all that going on. And we've got plenty of nice, beautiful developments done. So with that, I want to thank everyone, and do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. Any discussion? If not, will you call the roll, Jerry?
Mayor Williams,
Yes.
Chairman Gears,
Yes.
John Brown,
Yes.
Chris Brown.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Happy solstice.